So I absolutely have to share the chaotic things I'm experiencing, even if it's hard to put into clear and captivating words. What I have to share with the world is beyond important, and my conviction will literally destroy me if I put it aside forever. So let's start. I can't enjoy Christmas lights without radiating anxiety about light pollution. I can't eat food. I can't eat food without feeling guilty that I'm a selfish, life consuming being. It's really weird. I consider suicide like it's a reasonable and logical solution to being born into a world with an underlying corruptness to it. That's how it feels. It feels like in the world there's an underlying unfairness, like baked into the design of the world. I can't even take deep breaths anymore without feeling like I don't deserve it. Like I can't breathe fully like I used to because I feel like I don't deserve it. I can hardly even engage in meaningful community work anymore without feeling the heavy guilt of things like, I guess I would describe them as the supply chain type problems. So let me explain. So, for example, if you volunteer at like a homeless shelter or something, but you don't want to use either like something that has like plastic or something that's non-vegan, right? So that's like it's just problems like those. Anything along that line of thinking pretty much. And I throw my own words into ChatGPT to see if they make any sense. To try to translate some of them into what I call regular English because my family and some other people don't understand what I talk about. They don't understand. It's so isolating. I could go on about that, but it's just like, have you ever felt that? Like it's just so isolating to not be understood. So that's what this is about. It's about like finding my voice. That's what this video is about. But even though I do that, nothing here is written by AI. I'm a human for some reason. For some reason. And this is what I care about. My life purpose, my literal life purpose. It's multiple things, but it is to share these deeply important things with everyone who will listen. Okay, addressing limitations. I can't share with you the unique glow inside my being, the meaningful music and what each note means to me, the unique colors I see. I can't share those things with you. I'm not saying that I see color in a different way than most people. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I see the beauty in life where a lot of people don't see it. So like I appear to be more conscious than like at least the people I've met, right? Cuz like I'll be the one who stops and looks at the sunset while other people are just walking by. And things like that, right? I also have a brain that just kind of generates meaning. Like it's just really good at like generating meaningfulness. That's not to say that like my brain is like perfect, but it's good at explaining existence, I guess, in a lot of ways. And it's very colorful. Where was I? Oh crap. But yeah, I just remember how much meaning my life is filled with. Okay. And so I'm leaving this I'm leaving the isolating hell of explaining things only in my kind of language. Like how I use the term, I would use terms like relentless tyrant to refer to basically all the evil in the world. Like, bro. It's kind of funny, but that's genuinely how I talk. I also use a lot of Christian language. And then, yeah, like I can end up putting these things into a sentence that could be interpreted as like vague, confusing, or just as overthinking. Beautiful language. So again, my life is filled with beauty and meaning. It's filled to the brim with beauty and meaning a lot of the time. So I don't even need to tell you that the hellish and rotting parts of life are also a key part of that overall meaning, you know? So of course, like, the suffering means something. Of course my brain would be like, yes, like, every ounce of suffering has to, like, mean something, right? But as I was saying, now I kind of have a little bit more neutral and, like, normal language for things, and I've actually reached more people with my words. I am being heard. Like, I am being heard in real time. This YouTube channel, especially, but I am being heard, and I'm gonna keep rolling with that. Everyone deserves to be heard. What about the people suffering in silence in the world? Where is their voice? How can we help them? How can we help them? Seriously, I want an answer to that question. Of course, I'm working to answer that question too, but, like, how can we help people? Especially people who, like, can't talk. People who are stuck in darkness. And when I start thinking about it, I start imagining the worst kinds of scenarios that a person could be in. I start imagining just the people I've met who have just suffered, like, so, like, unfathomably bad. So unfair, dude. But do you see how this is, like, kind of chaotic? Like, do you see the chaos? Okay, don't worry, because I have a plan to center my thoughts, kind of. But I also kind of have to center them, because, again, I need to get this information to people who will listen. It's good practice. Of course, there will always be deep limitations in my communication. Communication issues are wide-reaching and life-ruining. Communication issues are wide-reaching and life-ruining, literally. I hate it. And I even hate that part of the Bible, like the scripture that talks about God twisting people's language. Like, fuck you. Fuck you, then. Because how many problems in the world do you know of that are a result of miscommunication? Addressing the enemy. I have always known you. You have always been there in my mind, but now I understand you, and I will not be part of your designs. From a song. I want to be more than this devil inside of me. I didn't sing it because that would be kind of cringeworthy. I want to be more than this. Yes, the enemy, and I'll talk about that in a second, but the enemy lives partially inside of all of us. So, like, the enemy in life, like the enemy, it lives partially inside of all of us. That's why humans are the most dangerous thing ever. Prove me wrong. There might be something more dangerous, but, like, for the points I'm trying to make, like, I think humans are the most dangerous thing ever. But oh my fucking god. We need to have the right enemy. Do we not? Because you've heard it said before, gays, trans people, blacks, and Jews, they aren't the enemy. It's the elites, the rich, the politicians and such, that are turning us against each other. And, like, yeah, like, that's about right, I guess. I think it's a good start. So I don't think it's quite correct. I think it's a good start, though. But it makes a little bit more sense to recognize the even deeper problem, which logically, like, I don't know, I guess I'm trying to be logical with myself here. Logically, it just kind of appears to be the fucked up and, like, complex nature of human beings. But still, though, religious people and, like, people who use the kind of language I like, we call it Satan. But, like, I don't know, it's just the fucked up nature of human beings, like the complexity of it all, you know? So I have felt so much power from using art, like both my own, like the stuff that I create, and from great artists, to basically yell and yap and fucking just not shut up about the deeper root enemy in life. And I found so much power in declaring that I will not partake in corrupt systems anymore. And then I also find a lot of power in actually doing that. That's the hard part, though. Like, the action, of course. Like saying things is one thing, but, like, that's a cliche, though. But, of course, saying things is one thing. Actually acting on them is another thing. Recently, I read an article. It was on Substack, which actually inspired me to write. But the article seemed to actually nicely diagnose the problems of our world. So it was like a good, like, seemingly like kind of objective view of like the problems in the world, from the perspective that like life is complex, and that is kind of the problem. I was initially kind of pissed off, right? Because this essay was able to like define every problem that I recognize in the world. And I was pissed off because I need solutions and not just problems. But I do also understand that a proper diagnosis, essentially, and understanding of the problem is crucial. Like, it's a crucial step to solving it, of course. Like, I know that logically. So, yeah. But still, though, it's just beautiful to see like all the problems. I feel like what was I gonna say? Hold on, just a moment. I feel like problems without solutions is just in itself is just death. It's just death. Problems without solutions. And I've been thinking about that quite a bit recently, but yeah. So, I suppose it's good enough for now for me to just kind of mention the general path we can go down, essentially, to try to find out who the real enemy in life is. Because I don't think it's each other. That can't be right. That might be useful, like, just to get some anger out, but I just don't think it's right. I just don't think it's right. Oh my god. I'm actually talking. This is great. This is great. God. Okay, solutions-based thinking. Solutions-based thinking. Honestly, this might describe my work in life. Simply, I have chosen a life where I build things from the ground up and focus on priorities. At least I try to. I need to do better at this. I'm homeless sometimes, so I can understand kind of, I don't know, so like I choose to be homeless sometimes. And I do so for multiple reasons. But one of the reasons is that I go outside, I be homeless, so that I can kind of like feel independent. You know? I guess that's one of the main reasons. But it's like I want to feel independent because I want to feel like I can have my needs met just from what is available already. I don't want to feel like I have to partake in some kind of corrupt system, like some kind of system where I'm forced to pay taxes to a government that is unethical. Like, at this point, it's confirmed to be unethical, but like before, it would have just been like, even like even like being skeptical that it's unethical. Like even then, like you should have the right not to pay taxes just to live. So that last little bit might have been kind of confusing because like I'm reading off a script right now, and it's just hard to like. It's just hard because something that I wrote, like, I guess it doesn't exactly sound good when spoken aloud, but that is what the practice is for. That is exactly the point of the channel. The point is to try. So I will still be uploading this video regardless. Now, it's definitely a sacrifice. I think it's a Jesus-like trait, a Christ-like trait to kind of put myself into, I guess, the lower class of society. That's another reason I do it. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm okay with being a person who suffers all the time. Hopefully not all the time. But like suffers like a significant portion of the time. And I don't have stuff completely figured out because of the complexity of the world. So I guess I'm kind of comfortable with that. Being homeless kind of like adds more meaning to that. Like temporarily homeless. Yeah. But yeah, again, it's definitely a sacrifice sometimes because I love comfort. I love comfort. And I can mindfully recognize the joy that modern comfort brings. Like, I can recognize it. And I can recognize it because, like, I've been homeless a little bit. So that helps me realize it. So I can mindfully recognize the comfort that, like, our conveniences give us. The comfort and, like, true joy. Like, for example, if you're just sitting in your living room and it's just completely peaceful and you just, like, have a cup of coffee with you and you just have a nice comfortable home, like, that causes, like, genuine joy, right? So that's just an example. That's an example. And so don't worry, because since there's genuine joy within these things that I'm, like, deconstructing and trying to build from the ground up, you can be sure that I will fight to recreate them in my essentially my newly built version of life. And this is something that I'm actually doing. I need to make a video at some point which kind of dives into, like, what exactly I'm doing, but yeah. More conscious living. Building things from the ground up because I think it's needed. I work for the day when comfort goes alongside this questionable alternative lifestyle. Although, I don't know, everything in life is questionable, but I'm not trying to, like, stand out. Like, I really am just trying to, like, solve problems. Like, I give little fucks about, like, standing out and, like, trying to be unique and, like, being questionable and, like, out there and, like, silly, controversial. I don't give a shit. But that's why I deeply love, like, the cozy or, like, medieval natural building, simple life, and, like imagine, like, a fruit tree paradise and similar aesthetics to that. Like solar punk. Like, have you heard of that term? Solar punk. And oh my gosh, what a beautiful vision. I carry the shit in my mind. And I carry it as, like, drawings and writings in my backpack, like, with me. Like, I carry it with me. Because I know that I need this. I know that I need this. So, then, this is essentially my spark of energy to get me on the right track of solutions-based thinking. Like, this is the spark for me. Like, this is what causes me to care. It's like, this is what causes me to actually take action. It's just, like, visualizing a peaceful place. Like, these beautiful things. Being conscious of them. I hope I'm keeping your attention so far, because this is, like, it's just hard to say these things out loud, but especially since this video is scripted, like, it needs to be said out loud. So, I've seen far too many people in my life become filled to the brim with problems, pretty much. It's insanely overwhelming. Like, it is death. Like I said earlier, like, problems without solutions are death. So problems without any resemblance of a solution are by themselves death. Nightmares in real life. That's something I'm scared of. Having a nightmare scenario in real life. So fuck. Let's just fuck. Let's just pin down what we can do within our lifetimes to make change. Let's turn this ship around. Let's just see. I'm just gonna see what I can do. That's what I want to tell you. But this concept of, like, solutions-based thinking, it kind of inspired, like, the general work that I do in the first place. So, like, I have a lot of projects dedicated to, like, writing about exploitation, like, child exploitation prevention, right? Like, one of the things I do is I try to unite the online like space for people who are trying to basically stop child predators from like destroying their lives. Is how I'm gonna word it broadly. Um, I am trying to help them and similar communities feel like we have more capability to make like a real change amidst literal tens of thousands of child predators. Like, this is a real thing that happens. Like, I dive into this like on my website that I've made. It's on my YouTube. um but there are tens of thousands of child predators destroying our sanity like every single day. So I want there to be hope among that. It's kind of like a whole rabbit hole, like I said, but I'm in the process of writing about that. So I'm like writing I'm still writing about that. I'm gonna write a piece about everything I've been through like online in relation to that. Yeah, but moving on. It's time for solutions. It is time for solutions. And preferably, let's restructure our lives to make sure that solution work and like functional solutions are built in. That's my plan, at least. And so if you're like me, then I guess take this as a sign. Take this as a sign to come be with me and come do this with me. Like, it's not about me though. It's not about me. It's about like, let's just do this together. Like, let's talk with each other. If you're like me, let's connect. Somehow. That's another thing I try to do with my work, is I try to stay open for all kinds of inquiries. Like I encourage people to reach out to me for like help with like understanding how to be better prepared in like human trafficking scenarios, or like just like online child exploitation scenarios. But I also encourage people to just like share me their story, right? Because I just want to hear, I want to hear shit. I want to be like, I want my mind to be open to like what is really going on in the world, and especially within like the communities that I want to, that I care about. Where was I? Yeah, take this as a sign. Like, just hopefully more people connect with me. Hopefully. And by the way, fuck the isolation that I experience from feeling like I'm doing all of this alone and by myself, because that always pops up. Like, especially when I'm making any video, that shit pops up. It's like I just feel like just a dreadful sense of like isolation. Sunset's beautiful, by the way, but I just feel a dreadful sense of isolation, and sometimes it just makes me trip up on my words. It was scripted this time for me to start talking about it, but in general, like, when I'm talking about shit, I'm like, oh my god, who's really gonna listen to this video? But then I immediately correct myself, like, especially recently, because I remember, oh yeah, people do watch these videos. Like, people watch these videos, especially the short videos. Like, if I just keep at this, if I just fucking keep at this, like, this is gonna go somewhere. Like, I'm gonna make the change that I want to make in the world. But fuck the isolation. Because I'm not doing this work by myself. I'm doing it with people. I'm doing it with everybody on Earth who cares about child exploitation. And as a matter of fact, I'm doing it with everybody on Earth who cares about life. And more specifically, I really want to reach the people who are like me, who like feel this exact kind of shit, because I know that they're out there. Based on the world's complexity, we've been over this. The world is complex. Somebody like me exists. Multiple people. I just gotta find them. More of them. And as a matter of fact, right, fuck every single nasty problem on Earth. Like, fuck everything that just steals life. Okay, now I wrote this part, but it's kind of weird to like say out loud. I hope you find me dancing in the woods and singing and yelling about solutions, or just like singing my favorite songs. And then maybe you and I can start talking about these things and then become friends. I don't know. That line kind of makes me smile. It's just kind of funny. It's kind of nice. Yeah. Hopefully it happens, seriously. Look at me. Don't you want to, like, talk to me in real life? Like, do you? I don't know. But again, I'm just going to be really thankful if anybody reads this. The next section is about suicide. Like, I'm literally just going to jump straight to suicide. And I'm sorry if that, like, is just kind of distracting or whatever. This is just how I structured, like, the script and, like, how I structured, like, this writing. But yeah, it might be kind of rough. So if you don't want to hear that, it's fine. You could just click off if you want to, but it's just, yeah. So since you care enough to read or, like, listen to full-length content of mine, which I'm incredibly amazed by, as I've mentioned, then I'd like to share with you something terrifying, but also dysfunctionally comforting. So, like many people, my brain justifies suicide. It's like a survival thing, I guess. Knowing that there's a way out if life gets too disgusting and traps me too much to the point where I can't even move, right? And what's scary is that I can even justify suicide. I can even justify why suicide might be a good choice for a reasonable adult of sound mind to make in some situations. But don't worry too much, I guess, because my ideas, they circle around to not wanting to commit suicide. Because, like, people shouldn't, like, people don't want to commit suicide naturally, right? So that's where my brain eventually circles around to, which is really good, by the way. But I just want to be, I guess, open and honest and transparent about this. So, like, the reason my brain kind of circles back is because, I guess, sorry, tripping over my words. I absolutely despise the possibility of us losing in, I guess, this war against evil, right? And suicide, in a lot of ways, feels like a failure. Like, it feels like the evil, like, consuming you. Does anyone else, like, know what I mean by that? So when my brain gets really busy justifying suicide, it kind of paints a scenario. One of, like, being in Alaska, or maybe, like, the ocean somewhere, or maybe the ocean off the coast of Alaska. and then me, like, returning to the earth, essentially. The ocean, especially, since to me the ocean it, like, represents wholeness and oneness, the literal state of, like, being that I want every human being to be in, like, formless and perfect, and perfectly connected with each other. Like, that's what the ocean is. And so, like, imagine how symbolic that is. It's so comforting, and I kind of want to die there. And that's kind of what I imagine when I imagine leaving life. But I also love when I feel neutral in life. Let me explain. Like, not taking up too much space or interfering with life too much so as not to accidentally cause bad outcomes. Do you ever feel like that? Like, if I were to start writing about something and then someone maybe interpreted it in a bad way, which I suppose is kind of like a risk, like with, I guess, like this video and, like, some of the stuff that I do, right? But I mean, I can't try to control that at a certain point, right? But I like being neutral, is the point. And because of this desire to be neutral, dying becomes sort of like a nice way to accomplish that in a lot of ways. Like, if I'm not here, then I can't accidentally fuck things up. Right? Like, it's sad, but it's true. My complex and corrupted and confusing nature, like, as a human being, can't intertwine with other people's complexness and accidentally create a nightmare, pretty much. If I'm gone, it decreases that risk, of course. Like if I die. I've seen what people can accomplish when they use their human powers to make shit. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is a good example of what people can do, but people can also form child trafficking networks and exploit children together. Like, as a team effort. Like, what? Like, what? Ouchie. Ouchie. I wrote ouchie because, like, ow. Like, what the fuck? Like, I feel numb to it right now, kind of. Because, like, I've just been, I don't know, I've been writing and thinking about it so much that it just because, you know, like when you say a word too much and then it just kind of, like, loses meaning for a couple minutes. But yeah, like, fuck. And I can hardly fathom that my own nature has similarities to these people who organize trafficking rings. And that may be a wonderful reason to die, at least for me. Yet I recognize that my specific and complex, like, assortment of my human nature, it probably should be mixed up with everybody else's, because then if we just keep thinking, right, and oh my god, there's just so much thinking behind all this fucking shit. Like, even this entire concept of suicide, it's just like mental gymnastics, right? But if my complexity, right, that I mentioned earlier, does interfere and, like, mix with everybody else's complexity, then, like, we've kind of achieved oneness without having to die. Like, I don't know. We haven't achieved perfection necessarily, but yeah. So maybe suicide isn't a good thought. And yeah, if I mix my complex human nature with others, then I could possibly share more good ideas, which is it's an upside for sure. But I really hope that my ideas are good or neutral and loving, because I need them to be. Like, I literally need them to be, because there's too much bad in the world. Like, there's just too much. Like, I need to contribute something good to the world. And so everything's just become this wonderful little system of thought, almost like its own ecosystem inside of me. Just like suicide, like, and the justifications associated with it. So I wrote, why wouldn't I commit suicide in a beautiful way at some point in life, especially when my mind and body start to fail me? And even better, imagine if there was impact to it. Because remember, I just mentioned impact, like wanting to do something good with the world. What if there was impact behind leaving life? If I ended my life, then I think I could actually make a difference one last time. Of course, it's a really scary way. It's a really scary way to make a difference. Make a difference, as we're going to put it in quotes, just in case. That's actually me attempting to be neutral with my language by putting it in quotes. But if my goal here is to just make an impact, then I could theoretically die, like, by suicide, and then leave behind some kind of notes about what I want the world to hear. Oh my god, saying that out loud is kind of fucked. Then I could imagine people closest to me would be more interested in caring and possibly taking these things that I care about to heart. Or maybe even just making more of an effort to understand me. Basically just everything I talk about and my passions, which really should be everyone else's passions. And think about how, like, insane that is to say. Like, my passions should be everyone else's passions. I do believe that to some extent, because, again, I'm not trying to be unique. I am not trying to be unique. So some of my passions, child exploitation awareness, caring about the Milky Way and, like, light pollution that affects it, right? Like, affects our visibility of the stars. all of those kinds of issues that I care about. Um, I'm not trying to be unique. So I just wanted to say that once again, I guess. But I was born into this life non-consensually. I didn't consent to being here. I just didn't. I didn't consent to being here. So the traditional guilt tripping. So I want to mention the traditional guilt tripping of your death would hurt everyone else, like that kind of saying, it means very little to me. And in fact, that little like kind of guilt trip, I feel like it's really kind of selfish. It makes me feel kind of gross. Like I just don't. It just makes me feel weird. I think it's selfish. But yeah, recentering my thoughts again. I know it's kind of quiet for a couple seconds, but now that I was actually able to like talk about this horrifying stuff, let's immediately end this section with some true but kind of forced like notes on why suicide is bad. So they're true and they're good, but they're also slightly forced. Because when I get into the flow of like talking about suicide, like I want to like explain to you every detailed way of how my brain justifies it, so that for the purpose of us being able to understand things. Like I want you to understand how one person might justify suicide. And that's why I've made this video. Like that's why I've talked about these things. Is because I think people deserve to be able to understand. And then, of course, work towards solutions. Solutions-based thinking, right? Okay. But yeah, I only want to die like a certain percentage of the time anyway, so. It's not like 24/7. So we all have this thing called shared humanity, which means we're all born non-consensually, and therefore, because of that, we deserve a good and balanced life full of beauty. Like, I don't know who would really contest me on that. Like, we're born consensually. That's the first thing that happens. As a result, like, as a consequence of that fact alone, like, we deserve life. Like, you know what I mean? And of course, like, that philosophy is echoed throughout history. Like, especially, like, first thought that came to mind was the philosophy of the founding fathers, right? Like, everyone is entitled to the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yes. That is why I'm staying alive. That and all the truly good things in life. The truly good things in life. So remember how I mentioned like sitting in your living room with like coffee? And like just the joy that you can experience with that, especially with a pet, with peace and silence, or with like a song going or something. That is like absolute joy. Now imagine stripping away everything bad that could possibly be associated with that scenario. So for example, like if you buy coffee, and like this is just purely an example, but like if you buy coffee and like maybe there's an exploitative work industry behind the coffee, or maybe the company who owns the coffee is corrupt, which is common, I guess. But imagine if you stripped away that, like if you had the magical power to strip that away, which could theoretically exist, right? Then what we're left with is something that I call a truly good thing. And that is what's worth protecting. That is why I stay alive. Because if I stay alive, I then have more capability to influence the world in a good way. It's as simple as that. It's cliche. It's cliche, but it's fucking good, right? It's cliche, but it's fucking good. Nonetheless, though, the internal negotiations and paperwork essentially continue. I just realized I've said essentially a lot. Okay, I acknowledge that, but yeah, the paperwork continues. Because in my mind, it's like a little office 24/7. It's just like It's like, should we commit suicide? Should we just like, it's ridiculous. And I'm happy to have like another opportunity right now with this video to examine that, to examine how ridiculous that is, and like just think about it for a minute. And it's especially good to like talk out loud about things that I've been thinking about and writing about. So yeah. Next section. We are not hopeless against the world's problems. We are not hopeless against the world's problems. So, here's some problems. Like, this is what I've noticed people say. Number one, we can't do anything against problems on such that are of such massive scale. Number two, it doesn't affect that much. It doesn't affect my life that much. So why should I care that much? Like, there's no direct correlation to these problems affecting my life. I hate that one, by the way. I don't even have... Okay, number three. I don't even have time out of the day to do something about these problems. Like, I'm just trying to survive, man. Like, I'm trying to live and, like, survive in this cruel world. Like, I gotta focus on my problems. I don't even have the time. I hate that one, too. So, fuck. Shit. Okay, this is horrifying, right? Like, this is actually horrifying, if you think about it. So my cliche answer is everyone feels that way. So what if everyone just came together? Right? Elitists, pedophiles, and abusers of all kinds can't survive against an entire population of prepared and educated people. I just don't believe it to be possible. And yet people skip looking at missing kid posters as they exit the store with like brand new like synthetic fiber, unethically sourced clothing, you know. I don't entirely know the logistics behind ethically sourced clothing, but I know that there's problems there. And that's what we need to be investigating, I believe. We are truly and fully not hopeless, even though these problems are at such a large scale that we couldn't even see the extent of it if we searched for our entire lifetime. Probably times 10. Probably times 10,000. Like, the problems are just so wide-reaching because, like, it's just life. Like, there's just billions of people, and it's complex. If you're just trying to survive, then what are you trying to survive? What is it that you're trying to survive? I'd argue that it's the problems themselves. Like, these horrifying problems. And so I guess where I'm going with that is, like, let's look at the root causes of why we are stressed out in life. Even if we're working, even if we have to pay bills, like, I'm fortunate to have been in a position where I haven't started paying bills yet. And I know a lot of the things that I need to get done in life to prevent myself from being in situations where I have to do that. Paying bills isn't the problem. The problem is being, like, distracted from, like, real problems. It's a new moon. I got distracted by the moon. It's so beautiful. But yeah. And by the way, the stakes are just too high. They're just too high. The consequences for being hopeless against these massive problems are just too big. An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And a disturbance here is felt at the other end of the world. So we know that we, us, right here, have to act. Like we have to. We absolutely have to. And we also have other cliches, like all good men have to do in order for evil to prevail is nothing. Have you heard that one before? Stuff you already know, probably. But I guess I'll try to remind you that... I try to remind you in the hopes that, like with everything else I do, I want to make an impact. If I had only myself to worry about, I wouldn't even write this. Like, there'd be no point, really. I would just live life and just have fun. And that's all I do. There before the threshold, I saw a bright new world beyond myself. It's a quote from a song. So we aren't hopeless. We can't afford to be. And there's stacks of evidence to suggest that like the average person actually has power. I'm also just extremely affected by a few specific people in my day-to-day life who are absolutely convinced that they need like money, years of studying politics, and like a platform with 10 million subscribers to speak up against the very problems that they talk about themselves too. So it's not just me talking about like without me yapping to people about problems, which I do, people talk about problems like the people I'm mentioning here, and they just think that they need like some kind of platform or something. Like they need some like a prerequisite, like they need to be born into millions and millions of dollars, like a family who's dirty rich, which is just I think that is like one of the most sickening thought processes ever, honestly. Like that is fucking disgusting that people genuinely believe that, because it's just objectively wrong. like I there's just nothing that you could suggest to tell me otherwise. But please do try, because I need to be held accountable for what I'm saying. Otherwise, I'll just be stuck in my own echo chamber. So, yeah. So that reality that I live in of like knowing people who say that, and then knowing the extent of the problems in the world, somewhat, I guess I don't know the full extent, but that all is enough to just pour gas on the fire of anger that I hold in my heart. God, I want to slap them. I really do. I want to punch the people who say that, because I'm so fucking angry at them. I'm genuinely angry at people who say that. But if I had to like practice what I preach, then I need to like get out of that habit of being angry at people. Unless there's some way to have healthy anger to like get a point across, which there probably is realistically. But yeah, there's a method to do these things. So there's a method to do these things, and that's what I want to figure out together with other people. Like I want to figure out how to live and how to make things better. Next chapter. Do we have an answer? Do we have an answer? All I know for sure is that it's complex, and it fucking pains me so deeply. And it fucking pains me deeply that I have to say that, because every part of my being desperately like needs a one-size-fits-all, complete and rock-solid solution to the problems of our time. And I am in constant pursuit of a belief that brings me peace and certainty and stability. It's courageous to admit that you don't know. It's courageous to admit that in a lot of cases. I want to find something unfailing and truly beautiful to trust in, so that I can share it with everyone else and we can all be happy. Pretty much. I want to yeah. Even if logic ends up dictating that the world is just far too complex and flawed for someone to put their hope in that kind of idea, my being will still aggressively search for that, because it kind of craves it. Like that's what I've noticed in the past 4 or 5 years. I've just searched for something. Never mind, I think it's been closer to 10 years if I really think about it, looking for that one size fits all solution. And like you think about people who like proclaim confidently that they know something, or who are very well spoken, and like they can proclaim something as like an absolute fact, but then like what's really true is like the details of the situation are a little bit more complex than that. So imagine like a detective sorting through a case who is knee deep in the shit, right? Like knee deep in the hell. If they were asked, like, hey, like what's the answer? Like, do we have an answer? They might say like, well, I don't know. Like, they might give like a more complicated answer instead of like a well-spoken, confident answer. And it sucks. It kind of sucks. But the truth is the truth, what if from my experience, is often kind of clouded in like uncertainty and complexity and nuance. So yeah, I can probably owe a lot of this to, okay, so me craving that, like me craving a one size fits all solution, right? I can probably owe a lot of that to deconstructing the default version of Christianity, which I've been involved in and I've gotten a lot from, right? And having experienced losing deep fulfillment. So I've experienced the loss of God, right? Which is tragic. It's fucking tragic, losing God. I have lost God. So a lot of people haven't even known God, right? Which is, I wish Christians understood that, right? It's like a lot of people don't even know God because the supposed perfection of God was not known to them through one method or another, right? But I have known God and I have lost God. And I have talked to God and I have felt God slip away from me. Fuck. Ouchie. I'm sure there's something people like us can force into our minds that give us real and true fulfillment and peace. I can only hope so. Even if it's something that couldn't possibly be described, like your senses, like the miracle of eyesight, or just like your senses working perfectly together to process a colorful, vivid, living event or memory. Do you see that beauty? Like, do you see how beautiful that is? Again, a truly good thing, like I mentioned. That's the thing. I don't need to try to describe it. I don't even need to try to describe it. It's just life. It's just life, the precious and good things. Like, whatever comes to mind for you, that's what it is. Let me check the camera really quick. Oh. Yeah. And that's why I'm here. Because I fucking care. I deeply care about the good parts of life. So how do I end this section on more of a positive note? I've seen some horror movies and I absolutely refuse to let life end up like those. Wait, this part that I written doesn't make too much sense. Hang on. When the thoughts of throwing... Okay, I'm just going to move on to another sentence here. When the thoughts of throwing away my life in a fit of anger, when those thoughts have been crushed under their own weight for just a minute, like, because think about how overwhelming they are. They get crushed under their own weight. And so when they are, for like that split second, I begin to feel peace. And so usually after I lay down, like, it doesn't always happen, but after I lay down, before I fall asleep, I feel comfort. I kind of picture a Christ-like figure whose love is not at all limited or argued about even. I just imagine that figure, and I imagine like either talking to that figure or just being around and in the presence of a figure like that. And I want this figure to be neutral and loving and all those things, but it's just hard to explain. I didn't elaborate a lot with it with my script, and it's hard to elaborate even as I talk because it's just perfection of some kind. And I constantly hope to feel those comforting thoughts before sleep. Like every night, I'm just hoping that I'll just feel it naturally instead of it feeling forced. And in a lot of ways, it's almost worth living for, just for that breath of fresh air, like at nighttime. Moreover, there's infinite stories of human beings who have found incredible levels of fulfillment. Moreover, there's literally infinite stories of human beings who have found incredible levels of fulfillment in their lives. That is so good. It's like I just shared mine, but then like there's like millions of others. So like there we go, right? And then I wrote, "We win." I really fucking hope so. I really hope so. Okay, next section. You care, and you love. You care about the world and you love the world. Or there's something in the world that you love. So I kind of hated the word love. Like I never really said it to anyone, and I still kind of don't. Because it just sounded like, well, I don't for reasons that are separate from what I'm about to tell you, but it just kind of sounded like so cliche and like, I guess, vulnerable. I like it a little bit more now, but I still try to like prioritize showing love over saying it. Like that's just more valuable to me, I suppose. But let's talk about receiving love. If you read these things I truly care about, then I am heard. I am loved. And people understand me. And that means people can understand people like me. And gosh, sorry. I hope I'm not coming across as like cringe and annoying here. And then we can all just hopefully work with each other to get past this existence-ruining problem of miscommunication. So I think we won. We kind of have to win, right? Because the thing that we're fighting against is suffering, tyranny, and like selfishness. And like lashing out from a place of selfishness. Whatever the absolute source of it is, like demons, nature, whatever, we can't let it win because that's just too painful for me to imagine, as a matter of fact. But moral isolation aside, confusion aside, disgusting, rotten feelings of depravity and shame, all those things aside, life-ending sudden hatred aside, we all care about shit, so let's double down on caring, and then multiply that level of care by 1,000, maybe? And if we really... And we maybe really need... Okay, I apologize. And if we maybe really need the good parts of life to be untouched and prosperous, so if we need that, then let's double down another 2,000 or 3,000 times on caring. Caring. The point on this channel is to try. And that's what I'm doing. So yeah, let's double down on caring about the world. Relentlessly. Relentlessly. Sounds kind of silly when I read it out loud, but there's value to it. So I've been thinking about just that pure and unreserved kind of honesty and love. Like, I've had online friends who are just so sweet to me. Like, they say things like, "Oh, I hear you," or "You're really strong for going through that. I hear you and I see you, and you are known." And I fucking love those people, man. Fucking love those people in my life. If anything on earth prevents us from being like that, then perhaps we should declare war on whatever deep-rooted enemy is responsible for making us feel like we can't love without consuming. The love I'm talking about doesn't have to look exactly like that. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly like that, I guess. But it does have to be true, unreserved, and good. I will wait for this to end, the back and forth, the battery, for you at last to comprehend the kind of love of which I speak. Song quote. Another song quote. There's a wind alive in the valley. It will fill your lungs if you'll have it. If you'll have it. Another song quote, I know who you are now. I know who you are now. And I name you my enemy. Are you with me? Are you with me? So I'll just end this now. But at last, I'm getting better at expressing my thoughts, which is fucking great. This is wonderful. Let it continue. Let it continue. Let's go. I'm at 31 subscribers. Let's go. Dude, this is awesome. It took a long while of many problems coming from not being able to like fully express myself. But you're listening to me now, and yeah. I just realized that I have said pretty much that exact same thing like 20 fucking times. Let's meet in the forest by the ocean side. And let's watch as this isolation, fear, and selfishness are suffocated by their own weight and also by our relentless care for protecting good things. And of course, our favorite art, like the things we enjoy in life, it's always there. Like our favorite songs and stuff, it's always there to give us like a speed boost that we'd probably rot to death without. Do you know what I mean? Like imagine life without your favorite songs and stuff. I don't know. But we have those good things with us. And so I wanted to end this with Wait. I wanted to end this with, what do you care about? Like, what do you care about in life? What art have you made, or what art have you enjoyed deeply and you want to like tell somebody about? You can tell me. You can tell me. Because that's what I also want this channel to be for. If you followed through this video, can you let me know? Can you let me know? And if you have the time, could you maybe give me a criticism? Because I can only imagine there's plenty of criticism for this video alone. That's it. That's everything I wanted to share. All right. Well, thank you for watching. I'm going to go look at the moon now for a few minutes.